Kinjal Shah, Treasurer Zubin Bilimoria, Speaker of the Day, CA Sangeeta Kumar, all participants who have joined in virtually to listen to this wonderful talk by CA Sangeeta Kumar on a topic which is new but very relevant. Good evening to you all. Social audit is a concept that we have not fully been familiar with. It's a thing which is just happening, and I believe the Institute of Chartered Accountants have just introduced their directions or their publication on what it contains. And I believe there are almost 1,500 pages that they have uploaded for public viewing and their opinion after a lot of deliberation. Basically, it is a review of entities' social and environmental impact, including the compliance, regulations, adherence to the ethical standards, and it measures effectiveness in achieving social and environmental goals of the organizations. The results of this audit are shared with the entity, all the stakeholders, and public to promote transparency, and accountability. Basically, all this started with Finance Minister introducing in 2099 her budget, union budget, a concept of listing of social organizations and those who are for non-profit to be able to list on the stock exchange and then create their impact on the people for them to see. So basically, this is something which is not only required, but I believe it would go a long way in streamlining and aligning the expectations of government, people, and all stakeholders en masse. We are all waiting to see what Mrs. Sangeeta Kumar has to say, and I'm quite sure we will be really enlightened. But before I put you on to the speaker, let me just give you a brief background about what the BCS stands for those who do not know BCS. BCS is about 73-year-old organization founded in 1949, just 6 days after the institute. And the whole purpose and goal of BCS is through dissemination of knowledge through workshops, seminars, meetings, and publications. It also makes right representations to the government, and they are taken quite seriously. Also provides a platform for networking. So generations over, people have built up their practices, build up their contacts, which they can very effectively plow back for their knowledge gathering through the membership of the BCS. BCS also has a journal, which is a very, very reputed journal, and it contains articles of various relevant and current topics. So if you are not a member of the BCS, I would very earnestly request you to become a member and get yourself the advantage of being on a platform which can help you in your career. With this, may I request Subin, Kinjal, are you giving the introduction?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes. So may I request Kinjal Shah to give the introduction of the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mihir Bhai. It is really delightful to introduce today's speaker on a very on a topic which has very few people who are aware of this concept, and therefore let me first introduce the speaker, CA Sangeeta Kumar. She is a commerce graduate from Mumbai and a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She is a practicing chartered accountant and has done various certificate courses on forensic audit, fraud detection, Ind AS, BRSR, and peer review program. She has 15 years of experience in the field of statutory audits, direct tax, indirect tax, performance audit of stock exchanges, She has also worked as the CFO of HAL, Bangalore. She is also the member of the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, IICA, and has been associated with various charitable trusts and NGOs. She has been a regular speaker on the topic of social audit at various important forums like the Women Members Empowerment Committee, WIRC, the SIR, the Bangalore branch of SIRC, and many others. With this brief introduction, I request all the participants here to welcome Ms. Sangeeta Kumar for today's session. And may I now request the honorable speaker to take charge of the further proceedings.
Thank you, sir, for a brief introduction. Good evening, members. And first, I will share my screen. Sir, please confirm. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Yeah. Honorable President Sri Ms. Sethji, respected office bearers, and my dear colleagues. I am also thankful and grateful to Sri Abhay Mehta ji for giving me an opportunity to speak on the current topic of social audit of social enterprises. In this topic, I will cover what is the definition of social audit, what are its historical background, what are the principles of social audit. One case study I will take, Manrega case study I will take, and I will also quote the extract of Honorable Finance Minister speech on social stock exchange. Then there was a formation of a WG working group and a technical group for the social stock exchange. What are the key highlights of SEBI circular with the WG and TG recommendations? And in social stock exchange, I will cover the global exchanges, internationally exchanges, social stock exchange. What is the concept of social stock exchange? Its modes of fundraising by the social enterprises through social stock exchange. What is the procedure for the fundraising, and what are the disclosure requirements for the social enterprises through social stock exchange, and what are the tax policy available for the social stock exchanges and the social enterprises. What is the CAG audit and social audit difference? And I will also throw light on the global reporting standards and its organization. What are the legislative support available for social audit in India? And ICAI standards, social audit standards and guidelines available by the institute. What are the challenges in implementation of social audit in India, and what are the opportunities for CA available? And then I will conclude with some remarks. Now, this word social. What the word social stand for? S stands for sincere, O stands for open, C stands for collaborative, I stands for interested, and A stands for authentic, whereas the L stands for likable. Similarly, the social audit, the definition of social audit is very important to understand the concept. This definition has been defined by our technical guide of institute. They say that the social audit is a way of measuring, understanding, the reporting, ultimately improving an organization and ethical performance. Social audit helps to narrow the gap between vision, goal, and reality, between efficiency and effective. Who is declared as the father of social audit? Craig Thoroday and accommodation is regarded as the founding father of the social audit concept in 1940s. Craig was the only person who has called upon the companies to acknowledge the responsibility towards the citizens. In 1953, Howard R. Browne has proposed the term social audit in his article Social Responsibility of a Businessman in USA. But as in 1970, United Kingdom and Europe, the term social audit has emerged to describe as evaluation that focus on impact on jobs, community, and the environment. Way back in India in 1979, Tata Iron and Steel Company, TISCO, Jamshedpur has taken an initiative to conduct the social audit. So in 1979, the social audit has been started by the TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company. Now the Ministry of Rural Development has defined certain principles of social audit. These are the general principles. Ministry of Rural Development is the ministry that undertake the social audits. Previously in it is 10-20 years, they have been undertaking the social audits. So they have defined the term. They have given access to information. They have termed as Jankari. Involvement and participation of citizens in process of decision making and arriving at justifiable output, they have defined as Bhagidari. Protection of citizen, they have defined as Suraksha. Citizens' right to be heard, they have defined as Sunwai. Collective platform, they have termed as Janta Ka Manch. And report dissemination, they have termed as Prasar. They have also defined the principles of social audit. They have laid down certain points. Social audit help to improve the social performance. The social audit is done from the point of view of multiple stakeholders. Those stakeholders are those who's affected by the scheme. And social audit help us to make the comparative between the organizations over the time, between the stakeholders and the group. Social audit has comprehensiveness. It is a comprehensiveness in the sense it is able to collect the relevant materials and no area of concerns are left out. It covers all the areas of the projects governed by the social enterprises. Irregularity of coverage is there. There is a social audit is conducted every once in 2 years. Previously, that time when was Ministry of Rural Development was there. Independent verification. This enables the process of creditability and transparent reporting. The reports are published on the website of the respective social enterprises. One case study, Manrega case study I will take. Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, Rule 2011. This was framed by the Ministry of Rural Development in consultation with Controller and Auditor General of India. These two organizations have notified to set up the state social audit units. Since then, at present, there are 22 states having registered as social audit units conducting the social audit for various schemes such as Integrated Watershed Management Program, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, and so on. They have used to conduct the social audits. So in this case study, Manrega case studies, they have what steps they have been followed, how they have conducted the social audit. They usually take the 3-4 days to conduct the social audit, depending upon the scheme, depending on how many housing areas they have to cover, depending upon the projects. So in this case study, they have got their trained person, they got their trained employee. Separate set unit was there. They used to train that unit to conduct the social audit. So while they are conducting the social audit, they are not examining the financial statement. They are visiting the site. They are visiting the beneficiaries, in the sense we can say the stakeholders who are affected by the schemes. They are auditing the scheme. They are not auditing the social enterprises. So we will play one video of Manrega, Odisha. One video we will play on the social audit. Please play the video, Mr. Javed.
महात्मा गांधी नरेगा दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा ग्रामीण रोजगार गारंटी कानून है। इसके तहत ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में परिसंपत्तियों का निर्माण करवा के रोजगार पैदा किया जाता है। पूरे देश में हर साल लगभग 30 लाख परिसंपत्तियों का सृजन होता है, जिसकी संख्या लगातार बढ़ रही है। इसलिए ये जरूरी हो जाता है कि इस बात की समीक्षा की जाए कि मनरेगा को लागू करने में अपेक्षित सफलता प्राप्त हुई या नहीं, क्या कमियां रहीं दिहाड़ी और माल की खरीद पर जो खर्चा हुआ, क्या वो उचित और तर्कसंगत था या नहीं? गांव की जनता की आशाओं के प्रति जवाबदेही और पारदर्शिता द्वारा उनमें विश्वास जगाने की प्रक्रिया है मनरेगा का सोशल ऑडिट यानी सामाजिक अंकेक्षण। केंद्रीय ग्रामीण विकास मंत्रालय के प्रयत्न और प्रेरणा से राज्यों में सोशल ऑडिट यूनिट की स्थापना की गई है। सोशल ऑडिट यूनिट एक स्वायत्त संस्था होती है जो कि स्वतंत्रता पूर्वक अपनी रिपोर्ट तैयार करती है। एक बार जब राज्य में सोशल ऑडिट यूनिट का गठन हो जाता है तो निदेशक, स्टेट रिसोर्स पर्सन, डिस्ट्रिक्ट रिसोर्स पर्सन और ब्लॉक रिसोर्स पर्सन की नियुक्ति की जाती है। इनका प्रशिक्षण 30 दिन के सर्टिफिकेशन कोर्स द्वारा किया जाता है। इसी के साथ गांव-गांव में सोशल ऑडिट कार्यकर्ता की जरूरत को विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन की नियुक्ति के साथ पूरा किया जाता है। इनका प्रशिक्षण ब्लॉक स्तर पर किया जाता है। इस प्रशिक्षण के जरिए बताया जाता है कि किस तरह से आपको हर घर जाकर सर्वेक्षण करना है और इस सर्वेक्षण के दौरान किन बातों का ध्यान रखना है। साथ ही विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन को सिखाया जाता है कि कैसे वो काम की गुणवत्ता जांच सकते हैं। अब राज्यों की सोशल ऑडिट यूनिट द्वारा राज्यों में सोशल ऑडिट के कार्यान्वयन के लिए जो प्रारूप तैयार किया जाता है उसका विवरण विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन्स को दिया जाता है, जिसे लेकर विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन का दल संबंधित क्षेत्रों में पहुंचता है। सोशल ऑडिट दल में क्षेत्र या पंचायत से संबंधित कोई व्यक्ति नहीं होता, जिससे निष्पक्षता और निष्ठा बनी रहती है। सबसे पहले ग्राम पंचायतों के लोगों में जागरूकता लाने का काम शुरू होता है, क्योंकि ग्राम पंचायत, ग्राम सभा तथा लाभार्थियों आदि सभी की सहभागिता की इसमें जरूरत पड़ती है। ब्लॉक के MIS से मिली जानकारी के आधार पर विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन ग्राम पंचायत कार्यालय जाते हैं और कागजातों का सत्यापन शुरू करते हैं। कागजातों के सत्यापन के दौरान सुनिश्चित किया जाता है कि कामगारों और कार्यों से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेज सही तरीके से हैं या नहीं। फिर ये टीम लाभार्थियों के घर जाकर उनसे बात करते हैं और लाभार्थियों का सत्यापन करते हैं।
काम कर रही दादा तो पैसा मने मिल ना?
पैसा मिल गया।
खाता में अलग की?
खाता में अलग पैसा।
के हाथ में मिल रही?
नहीं, खाता में।
यहाँ भी क्षेत्र आधारित प्रश्नावली के साथ जॉब कार्ड जैसे संबंधित हर दस्तावेज की जांच करते हैं। इसी के साथ ये दल कार्यस्थल पर सत्यापन के लिए जाता है। यहाँ कार्य की पूरी जांच होती है। कार्य की लंबाई, चौड़ाई को दस्तावेजों के साथ मिलाया जाता है और नापा जाता है। ये भी देखा जाता है कि कार्य को गुणवत्ता के आधार पर सही से पूर्ण किया गया है या नहीं।
61.5।
अब ये दल ग्राम सभा का दिन तय करता है और उसे स्थानीय भाषा में ग्रामीणों के बीच प्रचारित करता है, ताकि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग हिस्सा ले सकें। ग्राम सभा के दिन विलेज रिसोर्स पर्सन का दल सत्यापन के दौरान मिली जानकारियों को रिपोर्ट के जरिए सबके सामने रखता है। रिपोर्ट पेश करने के दौरान महात्मा गांधी नरेगा से जुड़े अधिकारी की भी मौजूदगी सुनिश्चित कराई जाती है। इस पूरी प्रक्रिया के द्वारा महात्मा गांधी नरेगा के क्रियान्वयन के दौरान रह गई कमियों को पूरा करने और प्रोग्राम को मजबूत बनाने में मदद मिलती है। आज महात्मा गांधी नरेगा का सोशल ऑडिट एक खुली किताब है, जन भागीदारी की, सरकार की जवाबदेही की। इसमें जो कुछ है ग्रामीणों के सामने है।
So these videos clearly show that how they are conducting the audits, and they are not doing any financial statements. They are visiting the site where the beneficiary, they are talking to the beneficiaries, and they likewise they are preparing the report, and they are understanding any grievances are there. So this social audit is already developed in our country, and they got their own unit. Trained persons are also there, so they used to do the audit. The project which are still exist in the line with Manrega are Rajiv Gandhi Gramin Vidyutikaran Yojana, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gram Udyog Yojana, and so on. The finance minister in budget speech on 5th July 2019, FY 1920, had proposed to initiate a step towards creating a social stock exchange under the regulatory ambit of Securities and Exchange Board of India for listing the social enterprise and voluntary organizations. I'll just quote the extract of finance minister's speech, what she has said in the budget. I quote, "It is a time to take our capital markets closer to the masses and meet the various social welfare objectives related to inclusive growth and financial inclusion. I propose to initiate a step towards creating an electronic fundraising platform, a social stock exchange under the regulatory ambit of Securities and Exchange Board of India for listing social enterprises and voluntary organizations working for the realization of social welfare objectives so that they can raise capital as equity, debt, or as units like a mutual fund," unquote. Since then, the speech of finance minister, key development has been taken place in our country to set up the social stock exchange and social audit standards. In 19th September 2019, the formation of Constitution of Working Group was made under the chairmanship of Isad Hussain, and this group has submitted its report on 1st June 2020. This was the working group, and they have submitted the report on 1st June 2020. The report provided form and content to the Honorable Finance Minister vision. This working group report had made a high-level recommendation for the social stock exchange, which included participation of non-profit organization, NPOs, and for-profit organization, FPE, to create a social stock exchange for fundraising by both the organization, NPO and FPEs, profit organization and non-profit organizations. And in September 21st, 2020, there was a constitution of technical group under the chairmanship of Dr. Harsh Kumar Bhanwala. In this group, our ICI member, Dr. Sanjeev Singhal, who is the now chairman of SRBC, was also the member. This TG group had made some dots and dashes to the high-level recommendation of WG group. They have made some dots. They have given more suggestion, and they have released their report on 6th May 2021. And thus, this is the broad operational structures. They have provided the broad operational structures and provided which way was a long way to go for enabling SEBI to kickstart the social stock exchange. And in September 2021, SEBI has approved the framework of social stock exchange. And in February 2022, the recommendation of both the group, working group and technical group, was approved by the SEBI. And in July 2022, SEBI has amended our ICDR regulation, LODR regulation, and AIF regulation. These three regulations they have amended, and SEBI has brought the completely new regulation for social stock exchange. And in August 2022, ICI has released the social audit standard, and they have also released some technical publications, which is hosted on the website of ICI. In December 2022, the principle of National Social Stock Exchange was also set up. Now the social stock exchange is completely new new concept in India. This is social stock exchange. Why they have emerged? It has emerged in recent times as an institution that proposes to address some challenges and bridge the gap between the social sectors and private sector. Social stock exchange are regulated platform that has been bring together social organization, donors, and investors. These three organizations, the social stock exchange will bring to facilitate the funding and the growth of organizations that have a social purpose. Now let's see the globally, international, how the which all the social stock exchanges is existing and what is their policy, what is their main activity they are performing through this social stock exchange. Brazil was the first country to initiate in the world the social stock exchange, which was launched in 2003. It was named as a BVSA. They have developed the social stock exchange to acknowledge the role of private sector in Brazil's social and environmental development. It was one of the first corporate social responsibility and social marketing agency in Brazil. But this Brazil has ended its social stock exchange. Its operation was ended in December 2018. Its official website is inaccessible. So this social stock exchange, Brazil Social Stock Exchange, is not working till now. Since then, there was other stakeholders in number of countries like South Africa, Portugal, Canada, UK, and Singapore have instituted a social stock exchange. Let's see one by one. SVX is the Canadian Social Stock Exchange. This Canadian Social Stock Exchange was launched in 2013. Its objective is to create a market for good and break the cycle of poverty, create opportunity, and build the environment sustainably, connecting the impact venture fund and investor by new debt and equity investment. This Canadian Social Stock is still working now. Let's take Jamaica Social Stock Exchange. What is the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange? Jamaica Social Stock Exchange was launched by Jamaica Stock Exchange. They have taken initiative to develop a corporate social responsibility activity of Jamaica Social Stock Exchange to promote the mobilization of capital. Their main work was to promote the mobilization of capital for social sector, organization, and a new social capital market. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange have primary objective was that of facilitating sustainability in the sector and ultimately to see the development in the fourth sector of Jamaican economy. Jamaica Social Stock Exchange has received donation from donation amounting to rupees amounting to USD in USD 9,10,000 from American Bank. So this Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is still exist. Now we'll take Portugal Social Stock Exchange. Portugal Social Stock Exchange was launched in 2009. And this platform, its main purpose was to liberate the country from poverty and exclusion rather than its remedying it. And this was they have launched this in consultation with the Brazil Social Stock Exchange. Together they have launched this. And the founder of Brazil Social Stock Exchange was same as the Portugal Social Stock Exchange. So this social stock exchange has now does not exist. In 2015, they have terminated their social stock exchange. Now we'll take the Singapore Social Stock Exchange. They have named as Singapore Impact Exchange, IEX, was launched in June 2013 as a public social stock exchange for social organization to raise the capital. Singapore was a joint initiative between the Impact Investment Exchange of Mauritius. They have developed in consultation with the Mauritius Social Stock Exchange, and the Singapore Stock Exchange is operated by the Mauritius Stock Exchange. This social stock exchange is developing. They have provided their services are mainly for our IPO listing, marketing support to along with the investment to impact priorities. So this Singapore Impact Exchange still exists. Now we'll take the South African Social Investment Exchange. They have named their social stock exchange as South African Social Investment Exchange. This was launched in 2006. This funding was largely concentrated among the well-networked organizations, while the organization they have exited outside this network, and they are more concentrated more on the local funding for the investors. But this social stock exchange is not active in today's date. United Kingdom Social Stock Exchange, SSX. This was launched in 2013. This was launched in G8 summit by the Prime Minister David Cameron at that time. And this was also co-founded by the Pradeep Sethi and Mark Campanell. Both have created this social stock exchange for inefficient, universal, accessible buyers and sellers marketplace where the impact for investors and social impact businesses of all sizes could achieve a greater impact either through capital allocation or capital raising. This social stock exchange does not exist. They have they have shifted their operations. The social stock exchange has shifted their operation to another network called Impact Investment Network. So as a social stock exchange, they does not exist. So it can be summarized that out of 7 social stock exchange globally, 3 are active, which are that Canada, Jamaica, and Singapore. These 3 are active, and India it is proposed. And Brazil, Portugal, South Africa, UK, these 4 countries, social stock exchange has terminated and does not exist. Now let's see the our BSE social stock exchange has been launched. So just we'll visit the website of the BSE, what they are saying. First is home icon is there. About social stock exchange, they have given some introductions. We'll see the introductions. These are the introduction they have listed on. Other documents, other documentation is there for non-for-profit organization, for-profit organization. They have not put any data. Get listed, get PPT not coming. Mr. Javed, can you see my PPT?
Not clicking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see my PPT, no? Okay. You can see the website of BSE.
Ma'am, there's a website is coming, website BSE.
Yeah. So eligibilities, so get listed in their eligibility. They have listed some eligibility criteria. They have listed some eligibility criteria that has to be followed by the organization, social enterprises. And checklist, they have also given the checklist. They have put some data here. Checklist is there, what all documents you have required to be eligible for, like copy of PAN number, audited financial statement of 3 years, all the details they have listed on here. This is show your interest. Social enterprise has to show their interest. Like they want to get listed, they have to write or fill all the details here. So this also they have in compliance, they have not given any data. And list of registered social enterprises for not-profit organization, for-profit enterprises. They have not given any data here also. And notice and circulars, no datas are there. Contact us. So this still it is a long way to go for the BSE social stock exchange to be completely start its operation. So it is there showing the contact details here, registered office, Fort India, and all the details are mentioned here. So BSE social stock exchange, they have constructed the social stock exchange, but let's see the NSE social stock exchanges.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
the PPT is showing only this website of the BSE. Your PPT is showing. You have seen the showing some stock exchange screen is not visible to participant.
Yeah, participant can see now. You are seeing my PPT.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this was I have just visited, means I just wanted to show you that they have BSE has constructed the website for social stock exchange. So these two exchanges, NSE and BSE, where the social stock exchange will form, and they will be construction. Here now we'll go to NSE. What NSE social stock exchange has to say? NSE social stock exchange will be active from 22nd December 2023. They have not listed, they have not constructed any website for social stock exchange till date. Now, why the social stock exchange is needed in our country? As the interaction between investors and market only favor the economically and viable and profitable ventures, NPOs have been largely remain unfunded and left to charity, donation, or other resources to meet its needs, like to meet the investment demand in human development sector, to solve the fund crunch faced by the social enterprises, transparency and accountability, synergize between investor and investee in social aims, performance-based philanthropy. All this is the main intention was needed for the social stock exchange. In the present market situation, existence of COVID also, let's take the size of market in our country. The size of market for social stock exchange is very large. In India, there are around 30 lakhs of NPOs, which amounts to around 1 MPO for 400 Indians. In Dasara Band report, termed as Indian Philanthropy Report 2022, which has clearly spelled out that the huge resource gap is there between public spending on one hand and resource we need for our country to achieve the SDG goal by 2013. This report has, this Dasara Band report has pointed out that there is a huge accumulation of wealth, particularly at the top end, at the supply side, whereas on the demand side, the pandemic has pointed out that the extent of resources needed on the ground for education, health, and so on are also large. A number of social enterprises starve because of their resources are diverted to our COVID relief. Therefore, it was clear that the FM intent to grow a pool of capital is available for social enterprises. So social stock exchange will aim at unlocking large pool of social capital and encourage the blended finance structure so that the conventional capital can partner with the social capital to address the urgent challenges of COVID-19. The constraint was that there was a lack of information, who exactly is working for under what domain, what is the geography, and secondly, the constraint was the lack of trust. Lack of trust in our country is the main constraint. What funders are seeking is that their contribution is used is more honestly and effectively. Hence, the platform of social stock exchange is created for funders and social enterprises. There are social stock exchange. There is some requirement is there that NPOs are required to register. They have to, when social enterprise want to, let me clear that NPOs and NGOs and social enterprises are the same organizations. This social stock exchange has defined NPOs and NGOs as a social enterprises. They have termed this as a social enterprises. So they have to follow certain requirements to be listed on the social stock exchange. Let's see what are the requirements. This NPO shall mandatory seek the registration with social stock exchange before it raises the funds through social stock exchange. NPO may choose to register on social stock exchange and may not raise the funds. Means they can register, but they may not raise the fund. That means registration is compulsory. Registration certificate will be valid for 12 months at the time of seeking registration. A certificate of registration and constitution of entity is required. and copy of PAN, TAN, GST registration, audited financial of IT return for last 3 years is required. Proof of ownership and control to be disclosed, whether government or private, and age of MPO should be 3 years. That means the social enterprise should exist for minimum of 3 years, and they should have valid ATG, 12AB and 12A, 12AA if applicable, and or the 1023C registration under the Income Tax Act as per the circulars. And this, in social stock exchange, there will be one guidance of governing council will be there. Governing council will be set up, which shall mandate the structure of draft fundraising document. This governing body, the social stock exchange, will be governed by these bodies, this council. They are called SGC, and they are required to mandate this fundraising document and final fundraising document, which will be hosted on their website of Social Stock Exchange, India Social Stock Exchange. The NPO's fund spending should be 50 lakh and funding at least rupees 10 lakh. That means the NPO should spend in a year 50 lakh should be there to get requirement for registration, and at least funding should be 10 lakhs. So who are defined as NPOs? Who is the voluntary organization to be covered under this social stock exchange? So first is Society Registration Act 1860, Indian Trust Act 1882, Public Statute of 11th state, and fourth is incorporated under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013, and any other entity as may be specified by the board. So these are the 5 types of voluntary organization defined as social enterprises or NGOs. There is some data available. Exempted institution who this website they are registered with the income tax website are numbering till today is 4,26,920 NGOs are registered with income tax website, and in Darpan portal of Niti Aayog it is 1,61,298 NGOs are registered till date. Now, from these voluntary organizations, certain voluntary organizations are excluded. Who are they? Corporate. First one is the corporate foundation. Corporate. Why the corporate foundations are excluded? Corporate foundations are funded by the CSR fund from their CSR activities, so they are not able to get the double benefit from the social stock exchange. Second is the political or religious organizations or activities. Third is a professional or trade association. Professional and trade associations are the like FICCI, ASSOCHAM. And fourth is infrastructure and housing companies, except the affordable housing. So these 4 types of organizations are excluded from the social enterprises, from the definition of social enterprises. Now, what are the key highlights of SEBI circulars with the WG and TG recommendations? SEBI has put out the certain circulars. These circulars on 25th July 2020, they have made amendment in these circulars. The chapter 10, after chapter 10 and before chapter 11, SEBI has inserted chapter 10A to cover the definitions of the social stock exchange. These sections are from section 292A to 292B was inserted with respective definitions. The first is draft fundraising document. This is the fundraising document, means the social stock exchange has to issue the public issue of a zero coupon, zero principal instrument. These details, zero coupon, what it is, that I'll just discuss. Let me discuss this terms. These terms are first is draft fundraising document. In this fundraising documents, social enterprise will specify their investments, instruments, what instrument they will raise. Then after that, there is a final fundraising document. This final fundraising document will incorporate any observation which is put by the social stock exchange. And they have given the definition for-profit social enterprises. For-profit social enterprises are those organizations which are regulated by which does not include Section 8 companies. Final fundraising document, then they will raise the final fundraising documents. Social auditor, who will be the social auditor? Social auditor will be appointed by the SROs. SRO is the self-regulatory organization appointed by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and the social auditor will be holding a COP with the NIASM exam passed. Social audit form will be those who should have at least completed minimum 3 years for conducting the social impact fund. Who is the social enterprises? Social enterprises may be either for-profit organization and non-profit organization. Social stock exchange, I have already explained. Let's see the 292B. The applicability of social stock exchange will be applicable to 3 types of entity. One is not-for-profit organizations seeking to only get registered with the social stock exchange. Second is for-profit, not-for-profit organizations seeking to register and raise the fund. And third is for-profit social enterprises seeking to be identified as a social enterprises under the provisions. Access to the social stock exchange under section 292 will be only given to the institutional investors and non-institutional investors. And there will be governing bodies. The composition of governing body may be formed by the board from time to time. They have also specified certain eligibility criteria for the social enterprises. The eligibility criteria is they have given certain activities. 3 criteria are there. In these 3 criteria, they have given certain activities. They have listed down certain activities which social enterprise has to follow. But they have to complete these 3 criteria. There are 17 activities. These 17 activities is very important. These 17 activities important. I just read out these activities because these activities are in line with our social. On these activities only our social audit standard has been set, and these activities are with SDG, our SDG, Sustainable Development Goals 2013. On that basis only these activities has been set up. These are the 17 activities. These 17 activities, at least one of them has to be followed by the social enterprises. I'll just read out one by one because understanding is very important for this. First one is eradicating hunger, poverty, and malnutrition. Second is promoting healthcare, including mental health care. Third is promoting education, employability, and livelihood. Fourth is promoting gender equality. Fifth is ensuring environment sustainability. Sixth is protection of national heritage. Seventh is training to promote the rural sports. Eighth is supporting incubators of social enterprises. Ninth is supporting other platforms that strengthen the non-profit ecosystem. 10th is promoting livelihood for rural and urban poor. And 11th is slum area development. 12th is disaster management, including relief rehabilitation. And 13th is promotion of financial inclusion. 14th is facilitating access to land and poverty assets. And 15 is bridging the digital divide in internet and mobile phones. And 16 is promoting welfare migrants and displaced person. And 17 is any other area as may specified by the board or government from time to time. So these 17 activities, at least one of the activities has to be engaged by the social enterprises. Second criteria is out of this criteria. This is second criteria is social enterprise shall target unreserved or less privileged population segment or region. Who are the unreserved and less segment population are those persons who are living below the poverty line. The beneficiaries here are the poor persons. Who are the persons are defined as person living below the poverty line? The persons who are living less than $1.25 per day. Their earnings are less than $1.25 per day. They are termed as persons living less privileged, underprivileged persons. Third criteria that has to be satisfied by the social enterprises are regarding the expenditure and income. The expenditure, at least 67% of preceding 3 years average expenditure has to be incurred for providing the eligible services. What is that eligible services? With 17 activities, what I have explained there. One of them has to be, it should be at least 67% has to be in 3 years has to be invested on this eligible services. And in case of income, at least 67% of preceding 3 years average revenue comes from this providing this eligible services. So these services should be only for the target population. Target population are who? That for target population are termed as unreserved, unprivileged persons. Those persons who are living $1.25 less than $1.25 per day. Now the framework of social stock exchange, these are covered in SEBI circular 292F to 292P. Now the regulators have broadly covered how to raise the money, being normal enterprises or social enterprises. Once you raise the money, now comes the role of listing comes into play. What to disclose, how to disclose, and when to disclose. And this AIF, SEBI AIF regulation 2012, from where the fund come and arise are the broad parameters for alternative investment funds. So these are the 3 circulars, very important circulars, which has been amended by the SEBI. So let's discuss one by one. I'll just summarize this by the flow charts what I have discussed earlier. So once for this criteria, once activity has been established, the primary activity of social welfare of the 17 activities, now the MPOs and FPEs, that non-profit organization for profit enterprises, social enterprises. NPOs are there is some registration guidelines are there. The NPO listing will be in the form of zero coupon, zero principal instrument, and through donation through mutual fund schemes as specified by the board. And for-profit organization, there is no registration requirement is there. For-profit organization listing will be issuance of equity shares on the main board and SME platform or innovative growth platform, or equity shares issued to an alternative investment fund and social impact fund. And secondly, it will be by debt. So there is how to discriminate between NPO and FPE. There will be one identifier where this FPE, for-profit organization, has to put one identifier that the skip is for and for-profit social enterprises, which will discriminate between NPOs. Now, what is the zero coupon, zero principal instrument? As the name suggests, zero coupon, zero principal instrument is issued only by NPOs registered on social stock exchange and shall have the specific tenure. This zero coupon, zero principal instrument will be only for specific project or activity which falls under the list of eligible activities. All eligible activities, which 17 activities I have explained. In between, it has to be fall on one of the activities specified under that regulations. And they have to be issued without any coupon, and no principal amount is payable on maturities. And the zero coupon instrument is only issued only for specific project activity to be completed within the duration specified in the fundraising documents. Now, who can invest in zero coupon, zero principal instrument? Institutional investors and non-institutional investor. Although the term institutional investor has not been defined in ICDR regulation, but the term institutional investor is defined in IGP. What is IGP? IGP is the innovative growth platform for young, fast-growing companies or startups to list their gain visibility and increase its brand presence. So we can presume the same definition here applicable. So institutional investors will be qualified institutional buyer and family trust or intermediaries with a net worth of 500 crore registered with the board. And who are the non-institutional investor? Non-institutional investors are the retail institutional investor and qualified institutional buyer. What is the retail? Who are the retail investor? Retail investors are those investors whose investing limit is rupees 2 lakh. And who are the qualified institutional buyer? Qualified institutional buyer are having the minimal investment of $100 million in a securities on a discretionary basis. So what is the mod of zero coupon, zero principal instruments? As per the conditions which are applicable to the normal public issue, what normally the conditions which are applicable to the public issue are applicable here also. Then the principal approval has to be obtained, connectivity with depositor has to be there, an allotment has to be made, demat form, all those conditions which here also has to be followed both for institutional investors and private placement to the social impact fund registered with the SEBI AIF regulations. The provisions here are related to public usage of zero coupon, zero principal instrument. Shall mutantes will be applicable to private issuance of zero coupon, zero principal instrument to social impact funds. What will be the procedure for issue of zero coupon, zero principal instrument by the NPOs? So I have already explained the definition of a draft fundraising document. First, NPO has to file the draft fundraising documents with the fees and applications seeking the principal approval. This draft fundraising document will be open for public comments at least for 21 days. And the Social Stock Exchange will provide its observation on this draft fundraising document within 30 days from the date of filing the draft fundraising document, whichever is later. After that, MPO has to incorporate the observation of Social Stock Exchange in the final fundraising documents. So what will be the condition for issuance of zero coupon, zero principal instrument? Will be the minimum issue price should be of rupees 1 crore and minimum application size should be of rupees 2 crore, and the subscription should be minimum subscription should be of 75% of issue price, as against at present there is a 90% as regulator has kept below the for the social cause. So the regulator has kept the minimum subscription should be of 75% of the issue price. In case this minimum subscription has not been subscribed, so the what impact will have what impact will it will have on social objective has to be disclosed in the fundraising documents. Once it is not subscribed, then the issue price has to be refunded to the investors. NPO has to comply with the Rule 19 of Securities Contract Regulation, Rule 1957. So what is Rule 19? Rule 19 talks about the conditions of public issue. NPO has to comply Rule 19 for the purpose of application for forward documents such as memorandum of and articles of association, prospects, financial statement, and so on. These all mentioned in the Rule 19. On how when the zero coupon, zero principal instrument will come to end once it has achieved its objective, and certificate in this regard should be submitted to the Social Stock Exchange, and the tenure for fundraising document is to achieve that has expired. So in these two cases, the zero coupon, zero principal bond will not be allowed to continue. Now comes the disclosure requirement to be followed by the social enterprises SEBI LODR regulations. This regulation is, now you have raised the money. Now the part of disclosure wherein the public has to be disseminated what all have you done with the money. There is a trust whether the contribution for particular cause has been made is utilized. This is the place where the listing regulation, LODR regulation 2015 comes into play. So there are certain listing requirements. So there are listing requirement has been laid down. NPO registered with Social Stock Exchange and NPOs registered and listed on Social Stock Exchange, and for-profit social enterprises registered with Social Stock Exchange. So annual disclosure is required for all the three within 60 days from the end of the financial years. These both NPOs and those who are listed and those who want to raise the fund has to make an annual disclosure within 60 days. Whereas for-profit organizations, as per the chapter 4 and 5 of LODR regulations. Quarterly disclosure is important. Quarterly disclosure is not applicable for the NPO registered. Only in case of registration of NPOs, quarterly disclosure is not required. But when NPO want to raise the funds, they have to prepare the statement of utilization of funds. We should specify clearly category wise how much money is raised and utilized, and what has happened with the unutilized money, whether they have deposited in separate bank accounts. And the statement of utilization has to be submitted within 45 days from the end of the quarter. Then event-based disclosure. Event-based disclosure is applicable for the NPOs who want to raise the fund and are those NPOs who are listed. So this, what is event-based disclosure? Event-based disclosure, for example, the social enterprise has acquired certain land, and that land has gone under dispute. So this dispute might affect the project. What social cause it will have? It has to be, this disclosure has to be made even within 7 days of the occurrence of the event. This has to be disclosed. Then policy for determination of materiality is not applicable for MPO who are registered, but it is applicable to the MPO who are registered and want to raise the fund. The framework of policy and materiality has to be disclosed, same to the Social Stock Exchange. Annual impact report. Annual impact report is a very important document from the public perspective, because it is a scorecard that depicts the work that all activities done during the year by virtue of fund raised or by virtue of objective mentioned in the charter. So annual impact report is a scorecard for the social enterprises. This annual report has to be audited by the social auditor within the 90 days from the end of the financial years. Now, disclosure of social enterprises for FPEs and NPOs, those are listed. They has to comply with the Indias as per Section 133 of Companies Act 2013. And for-profit organization NGOs that are not listed, they can comply with the accounting standard issued by the ICI and the technical guide. The details of annual disclosure provided in the SEBI circular in Annexure 7 and details of annual impact are provided in Annexure 9 of SEBI circular TG circular, technical group circular. Now the amendment has been made, we'll take a third amendment, AIF regulation 2012. Social venture fund has been replaced presently by the social impact fund. What is social impact fund? Social impact fund means the alternative investment fund, which investment in securities, units, or partnership interest of social venture or securities or social enterprises. And second is satisfy the social performance norms laid down by the fund. And this AIF regulations, this AIF regulation has defined social units. Social units means units issued by the social impact fund or schemes of social impact fund to investors who have agreed to receive only social returns or benefits and no financial returns against their contributions. So this fund has to be propagated. Social impact fund has to be propagated more and more, so that the more and more social enterprise come forward to invest, to raise the capital, and investor will also come forward to raise the money. Some of the examples of social impact fund are Aditya Birla Private Equity Fund, Aviskar India Micro Venture Capital Fund, Assist India Fund, Tata Capital Healthcare Fund, Anand Rathi Realty Fund, Asia Pacific Healthcare Advisor Private Limited funds. These are just example of some of the funds. Now, I have just made the discrimination between amended provisions and extant provisions. The issuance of social unit to investors by the social impact, there is no such provision at present. Minimum corpus of social impact fund is rupees 5 crores, and now at present it is 25 crores, and minimum investment value is rupees 2 lakhs, and at present it is minimum investment value is 1 crore, and for employees and director it is 25 lakhs. The amount of grant that can be accepted by the fund is rupees 10 lakh, and presently it is 25 lakhs. And social enterprise has also to be permitted to deploy 100% of their funds in the securities of NPO. There is no such provision at present. And at least 75% of investable funds to be invested in unlisted securities, partnership interests or units of social ventures, and securities of social enterprises. But this securities of social enterprises is not there at present. This is just a discrimination between amended provisions and extant provisions. Now, the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India has set up how the social auditor is functioning. Institute of Chartered Accountant of India has set up the body self-regulatory organization SRO. They have named as SRO. This SRO will appoint the social auditor. Who can be the social auditor? Social auditor can be the financial auditor or non-financial auditor. Who are the financial auditors? COP, ICAI member holding COP and has to pass the NISM exam. And non-financial auditor are a person with postgraduate from recognized by the UGC, and it should have 3 years of experience in development sector, or graduate with 6 years of experience in the similar field, and they have also to pass the NISM exam. This NIX exams, all the details of NIX exam is available on this website. They have given the series. I'll go to this website. They have given the series 23rd Social Auditor Certificate Examination. This is the examination objectives, assessment structures. They have 85 questions of multiple choice, and 3 case studies will be there. But there is 2 hours examination, 100 marks, and 25% is a negative marking is there. So to this registration has already been started. When you get registered, they will give you all syllabus details to be followed. So this NISM exam has to be passed by the social auditor to conduct the social audit of social enterprises. What is a CSR fund? CSR fund is mainly they have some suggestion has been made by the WG and TG groups that parking of CSR capital in escrow account for a period of 3 years. There should be parks for at least for 3 years, and the contribution, the funds which are contributed should have the capacity building fund of the social stock exchange, and the CSR, the trading in excess of CSR spent between the companies can be considered by MCA. They are not covering. MCA is not covering. These are some of the suggestion for CSR funds. There is some also suggestion for the tax policy which is made available for the investors and the social enterprises. So they have asked for the allow the philanthropic donors to claim 100% of tax exemption, allow all investment made in securities instrument of NPOs listed on social stock exchange to be tax deductible, allow corporate to deduct CSR expenditure, allow first time retail investor to avail 100% of tax exemption on their investment on social stock exchange, exempt investors from paying security transaction tax and capital gain tax on investment capital gain on social stock exchange, and remove the 10% cap on income eligible for deduction under ATG. These are the suggestion has been made by the TG group, but still there is nothing has come from the income tax department. And they have also asked some of the relief for the social enterprises. They've asked for allow a tax holiday for 5 years for profit social enterprises, and enable ease of getting certification for MPOs under 12A, 12AA, and ATG by allowing all MPOs to benefit from social stock exchange to qualify for these certifications. To revalidate the registration of MPOs under section 12A, 12AA for MPOs, and similarly for renewal process of MPO should also be re-evaluated. To increase the limits under the IT Act on MPO raising the fund from commercial or semi-commercial activities to 50%, at present it is 20%. And allow revenue generated by social stock exchange through social to be tax deductible. So these benefits they have asked for the social enterprise TG group, they have asked all these benefits. So let's understand, always there is confusion between CAG audit and social audit. CAG audit is a procedure which are designed more from the point of view of the government and the taxpayer, and not from the point of view of the beneficiaries. But this social audit is mainly done from the point of view of the beneficiaries, those who are affected by the any of these projects. Let's take the global reporting standards and organizations prevailing in the world with regard to social audits. There is one global reporting standards, International ISO, International Organization for Standardization. This is an independent body, non-government organization, international organization, which has 167 national standards. It's a central secretariat situated in Geneva, Switzerland, and they develop their own standard. They have their own social audit standards. Secondly, it is SAI. SAI is what? SAI is the social accountability standards. They offer a variety of services that ensures accountability in social responsibility programs, build capacity among the government and NGOs in advance socially responsible policy, and they also help the companies and organizations to understand their responsibilities to workers and communities and adopt a socially responsible business practices. These are also the independent bodies in their countries. So we can term as these are the international organizations. What are the legislative support available in India for the social audits? 73rd Amendment in Indian Constitution that has empowered Gram Sabha to conduct the social audits. This, so far as the corporate scenario is concerned in India, it is largely voluntary action to publish the details of their social accountability as part of their annual reports. Companies like ITC, Unilever are some of the example which disclose this social accountability on their website. This is Audit Birla Group. They disclose their social responsibilities and their social audit on their websites disclose. Similarly, these ITC Limited also disclose this impact study assessment. They have disclosed under the mission called Sunera Kal. They disclose these programs and policies. What is the ICI standard? What are the available guidelines available with our ICAI? ICAI has released 100 to 1,600 standards, social audit standards on 14/1/2023. And these are interested with the responsibility of forming social regulatory organization and the profession of social auditors. They've also released technical guide on social audit. And thirdly, SRSB Sustainable Reporting Standard Board is conducting the online certificate examination named as Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting for members. And SRO was formed on to appoint social auditors on 29 August 2022. It is an Institute of Social Auditors of India, which was set up under Section 8 companies under the Companies Act 2013. The proposed SRO will focus on capacity building of social auditors through the continuous professional advancement with the focus on adherence to the highest ethical standard and compliance with the letter and spirit of a social stock exchange requirements. Capacity building is an ongoing process in any of new market segments. So the social SRO has been set up. This SRO is office is situated in Banda Kurla complex, Bandra East. They have laid down certain eligibility criteria for the social audit. What are these eligibility criteria? Any individual or entity of a firm having a track record of minimum 3 years of conducting social impact assessment of social enterprise, indulge in any areas as notified by those area. I'll just again repeat, those are the 17 areas which I have told earlier. So that's why the 17 areas are important. So they have conducted in that areas, they have conducted the social impact assessment of social enterprises. This is one of the criteria. And secondly, the average for those social enterprises, they have conducted the impact assessment should have the expenditure of at least rupees 50 lakhs. And so they should at least have the human resources to in the field for social development. So these three eligibility criteria has been laid down by the SRO to be appointed as the social auditors. And certain disqualification is also there. It is similar to our code of ethics, which is available to our records. Now, there is a social, I'll just discuss some of the main points of social audit standards. So what is the scope of social audit standards? Social audit standard is mainly to assess whether the program, project-based activity is operated in accordance with the stated strategic intent and planning. They also pointed out that to assess the stated performance in terms of impact and outcome, what are its outcomes? They suggest ways to improve the impact measurement and or performance. This is scope has been laid down in the social audit standards. And say in this standard, social audit standard, they have also emphasized the stakeholders and users. The stakeholders and users are the beneficiaries of any program or the projects. So mainly who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are the social enterprise, FPE and NPOs. They are beneficiaries, risk investor, outcome changers, resulting activity for individual, community or other stakeholders, third-party evaluator, intermediaries and regulators, society at large and vendors. So in our social audit standard, that is 100 to 1600 standards are there. So when we start any social audit, first we have to identify who are the stakeholders. So these are the listed stakeholders. Mainly these will be the listed stakeholders to conduct any audit of a policy or the programs. What ethical principle has to be followed for conducting the social audits? Ethic principle and social audit standard are governed by the code of conduct issued by the self-regulatory organization. SRO will issue the ethics which are applicable to the social auditors. The quality of control will be with professional standards and regularity and legal requirements. Agreeing with the terms of engagement are common with the understanding between the social auditor and those charged with the governance in the terms of social audit. Documentation has to be written for the period of 7 years from the date of social audit report. Materiality is the quantitative and qualitative factor that has a relative magnitude. Internal control should also be there, and project management process tracking and quality assurance and procedures to verify that exists are to be followed. Field work process, sampling and data collection should also be there. And social audit standard has laid down certain technology which has to be followed for that has to be followed to conduct the social audit. What technology has to be used? Some of them are information database, information of all stakeholders, beneficiary, volunteers, staff at one place, data collection through online survey, virtual interviews, satellite imagery for monitoring the forestry coverage, etc., data sorting and visualization, data analysis and reporting. These are the technology will be used for all the schemes or the project who will be appointed to conduct the social audits as all for any project or the schemes. So they have listed down I have already discussed that 17 activities. They have listed down this 100 to 1,600 social audit standard is thematic areas. This is thematic areas completely based on all those 17 activities. So those 17 activities is very important. And in these 17 activities, social auditor has to identify the stakeholder, who are the stakeholders, and what are the technology has to be followed. With these all social audit standard, these are the common points, like I have discussed use of technology and these ethical quality control, and all these are common with all these of the 100 to 1,600 social audit standards. When you read this audit standards, you will find all it is mentioned, clearly mentioned, detailed step by step how the audit has to be conducted for all these 17 activities. What is the overview of social audit standards? They have divided in 4 sections. Section 1 covers the introduction of thematic activity. Section 2 covers the evaluation of social impact. Section 3 covers the assessment of challenges and limitations. Section 4 covers appendix taxonomies, classification of areas and sub areas for social objectivities. So social audit standard relates to these thematic areas of particular activity. The standard aims to provide the social auditor with necessary guidance in relation to independent impact assessment engagement of social enterprises engage in thematic activity, and the audit, what audit step and procedure has to be carried out for social impact assessment. The standard sets out the minimum requirement to be followed while doing the impact assessment. Laws, regulation may establish additional requirement which should be followed as applicable to the social enterprises. Finally, the social audit report has to be drafted. Social audit report has to be in 4 sections. First section, it will cover the background of the engagement about the project, what are the responsibility of reporting the entity and social auditor, compliance framework with standard and code of conduct, scope of engagement, objective of social audit, approach and methodology has been used in conduct of the social audit, what are the sampling method adopted, mapping of the stakeholders, data collection, and study limitation. Any suppose you're not able to cover any area or you're not able to collect the data, so all limitation has to be clearly mentioned here. While section 2 covered the key findings, what key findings has been made, which is alignment with the national and state priorities. Section 3 covers what are the gaps or challenges you have faced with recommendations. And lastly, the section 4 cover all the case studies on what the stakeholder has to speak, what those charged with governance, all the interview has to be list down and they have to be give all the details. Now, what are the challenges available in the implementation of social audits? The information, there is a lack of data available in social audit. The information system created to support the program is mainly generates the data that show the receipts and expenditure associated with those programs, but rarely can measure the impact it creates on the section of society to which those are aimed. So in absence of data, the government agency often commit error following this traditional method of collecting these informations. So there is also non-availability of data for CSR programs or corporate bodies. Another is that there is a regulatory demand for social audit. Compulsory social audit has not been made, and there is lack of legal proceeding for not conducting the social audit, following the social audit principles. Absence of grievance redressal mechanism. There is lack of coordination, cooperation from village representative. There is improper selection of beneficiaries and inadequate manpower. Lack of awareness on the scheme. The awareness is not there for any scheme. Once scheme, suppose and Manrega, I have taken case studies. The detailed study of the scheme has to be made. So awareness of the program is very important at grassroots level, and there is lack of monitoring. Who should monitor any scheme or projects? What are the opportunities available for chartered accountant in case of social audits? So, chartered accountant can become social auditor. They can also become social compliance auditors, since lots of compliance is there, SEBI circulars are there. They can become the compliance auditor also. They can become a consultant of registrar to issue the NPOs and FPEs. They can also become internal auditor of NPOs and FPEs. They can undertake the CSR audit. In a multidisciplinary partnerships where there can chartered accountant can share the fees or enter into the partnership with the professional disciplines like company secretaries, cost and management accountant, lawyers, engineers, and architect and others. Here the chartered accountant also can become a lead auditor, like inspection and certification company. They can become a sustainability developer, supply chain operations. They also can become a sustainable procurement specialist. They can also become a supplier legal compliance. So lots of opportunities is available for the chartered accountants. Now let me conclude from four perspectives for NPOs, auditors, and government involvement and social enterprises. The foremost challenge lies in revamping the NPOs and FPOs ecosystem in India. Such organizations need to have a long range of strategic planning and operational process in place. The traditional ways of operating NGOs, FPOs may not work in the changing environment. They will have to relook into their business model and organizational setup. They need to articulate how their programs, projects will generate value for the target beneficiaries, solve their problems, as well as relief from the pain points. As for the auditors, the biggest challenge for the social auditors will be stay updated with the nuances of working of a social enterprises, how they work. And as regards the government involvement, I would like to conclude that there is no initiative in an economic can thrive without the active support of the government. We need to understand that the social change does not follow a set blueprint model. It is not just a time event. It is a journey that all stakeholders, including an audit fraternity, have to undertake together. And the nuances such as clarity on utilization of CSR fund for NGOs, FPOs listed on social stock exchange, and permitting the subscription to the zero coupon, zero principal bonds under the section 80C of the Income Tax Act 1961. The government income department has to do that and will help to build a robust inflow for the NPOs and NGOs. That means there should be subscription of this zero coupon, zero principal bond deductible under section 80C. And the social auditors are expected to comply with the high ethical and professional standards so that they are able to ensure the public confidence as well as confidence of all other stakeholders. The trust, confidence, and reliability on the reporting of social auditor is indispensable. The benefit of social auditing enhanced credibility helps to policy decision positive support from stakeholders. As because social enterprises organization can be better manage its risks as it can enhance its social focus by covering any adverse social impact highlighted by it in a social audit report. I have framed some of the questions, frequently asked questions. It is simple questions. I'll just put it in. What is the term NGOs and NPOs named as per the Social Stock Exchange? The Social Stock Exchange has defined certain name. I think I have already told it is, they have term defined as social enterprises. It is mandatory for the non-profit organization registered with social stock exchange to seek the listing. It is not mandatory for non-profit organizations which are registered with social stock exchange under the regulation however, it can mandatory seek the registration with social stock exchange before it raises the fund. Before it raises the funds, it has to mandatory seek the registration. Whether the retail, third question is whether retail investors can invest in securities issued by social enterprises in a social stock exchange. Retail investor can invest for profit on the main board. Retail can invest, who are the retail investor? Those limits are, those investors whose limit is 2 lakhs, they can invest only on the main boards. Who will be, suppose one question is, who will be stakeholders in case of audit of one of the activities like eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and inequalities? First, we have to define the social audit. Suppose you have been appointed to conduct the social audit on the project scheme name for eradicating hunger, poverty, and malnutrition. First, you have to identify the stakeholders. Who will be the stakeholders? The stakeholders will be direct beneficiaries, immediate family members of direct beneficiaries, contractors, funding entities, monitoring agency, key program officials of the entity. With this PPT, I come end of this topic of social audit for social enterprises. Thank you very much for the patient hearing.
Thank you, Madam. This was a very, very comprehensive view of the entire domain of social audit. And now may I request Treasurer Zubin to give a formal vote of thanks, please. Zubin, over to you.
Yes, a very good evening to the respected speaker, CA Sangeeta Kumar, the President, CA Mir Sheikh, to the Honorary Secretary, Kinjal Shah. Before I get on to the vote of thanks, there are just some few announcements of our forthcoming programs. Tomorrow on Thursday, 2nd March, we are having a virtual meeting by our HRD committee on building professional and personal brand for professionals. Then there is a power summit on 3rd and 4th March. It was also by the HRD committee. This is at the Bike Surat Plaza Hotel in Thane West. There is another interesting program by the Accounting and Auditing Committee spread over 2 days on Friday 10th and Saturday 11th March, which is a workshop on the practical aspects of audit for SME practitioners. I'm sure that will interest a lot of our members. Then there is also a program by the Corporate and Commercial Law Study Circle, which is virtual, on the SEBI Insider Trading Rules Overview Issues and Solutions, which is scheduled for Monday, 13th March 2013. Then another very important event is our RRC conducted by the Accounting and Auditing Standards Committee on Ind AS, which is from 24th to 26th March, which is at the Duke's Retreat, Khandala. I'm sure that will attract a lot of people. A half-day seminar on basic learning to be an IBC professional, insolvency and bankruptcy court professional, is there on Friday, 24th March, which is virtual. It is again by the Corporate and Commercial Laws Committee. There is a full-day workshop on the approach to litigation under GST on Saturday, 25th March, which is hybrid. This is organized by the Indirect Taxation Committee. Then two other important RRCs. First is the 27th International Tax and Finance Conference, which is on Thursday 6th to Sunday 9th April 23 by the International Taxation Committee. This is at the Leela Gandhinagar in Gujarat. And finally, another important event, the 17th RRC Residential Refresher Course on GST, which is from Thursday 22nd June to Sunday 25th June, again at the Leela Gandhinagar, Gujarat. So these are some of the programs over the next couple of months. With that, now coming to the pleasant task of the vote of thanks. One thing is very clear, that the speaker has very systematically summarized the key matters, divided it into 15 different chapters, starting from the historical background, getting into even case studies, showing videos, which gives some practical flavor, the regulatory challenges, the regulatory issues, and also what are the global developments. She also covered certain trends which are a little disturbing, and hope they don't apply to us, that certain stock exchanges in countries like Brazil and the other countries have actually closed down. Let's hope that we don't come into such a situation, and our social stock exchanges and the social sector will flourish and grow with time to come. Plus, there have also been the challenges which are likely to be faced, which we all know. I'm sure we all have the capacity to overcome these challenges. I can only conclude it in 2 or 3 ways. See, the entire paradigms now for the NPO sector, for the CSR, and for the social audits and social sector has changed. 3 main trends which I can foresee is there is now greater commercialization and a business orientation to the entire social sector, which was missing. To a certain extent, that is also coming in through the CSR initiatives which the companies are doing. The second thing is there will be a greater degree of professionalism in the entire sector. And the third thing is there will be greater transparency and accountability. So to conclude, these are the 3 broad themes which I can foresee through the social stock exchanges. So with that, I would like to propose a very warm and hearty vote of thanks to the speaker, and request all of you, all the participants, to carry out this through a virtual applause. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank
And
you.
we hope that,
Maybe we'll have a workshop.
we will have a
opportunity to
detailed
do a
workshop,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yes.
and
A
maybe
very
to enlighten our members more, and that there are definitely a lot of professional opportunities for chartered accountants, and especially those who are more socially oriented. So I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much
Thank you.
once again, madam.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
And thanks to all the members for participating. We had a participation which touched nearly 100, which is very good.